And welcome back, everyone who are listening and watching us here on the Spring Spirit Drive here at Holy Family Radio. It's the 2022 version, and I am alone in the studio today as Kim is unavailable to join us in person. She was with us earlier this morning via video stream, which is what we're trying to do now here at Holy Family Radio as a way to get more people engaged and being able to watch and be a part of the Spring Spirit Drive. It's a lot of fun, maybe perhaps, just to watch and see what's going on here and kind of see the workings of the radio station without actually having to be here. And so it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun to be able to share this with you. So it's 888-287-0655. That's 888-287-0655. That's the phone number to call. We haven't had the phone ring for a while now, and so I need to really encourage you to seriously consider what Catholic radio means to you. What does Catholic radio mean to your family? What does it mean to others out there who are listening to it? I know so many people just really enjoy listening to Catholic radio. They have it on as one of the presets in their vehicle, and that's all they listen to while they drive. And you're our core audience. That's for certain. And those who are riding in your vehicle, for those of you that are parents with children, guess what? They get exposed to Catholic radio. They get exposed to that content, that really good content out there that sometimes they might think is really boring, but guess what? They pick up on that stuff. You know that they're listening, and they have no choice. And in fact, they know what's important to you when they know that you listen to Catholic radio, that your faith is important to you. And so it's up to you to be able to make sure that we continue to be there for those other people out there, those other young mothers, those other young families, those other folks out there who may have be away from the church for a long time. There are always people looking for answers to the troubles in our world today. And Catholic radio, the Catholic faith, has a lot of those answers for people. All right? And we have all the answers to the big questions of life. And so we need to be able to be on the air and to continue doing this work, continue to expand this work, to be able to do it for God, for Jesus, to bring more people home into the church. Catholic radio is filled with stories of people who have been away from the church for 5, 10, 30 years or more, away from the sacraments, who through hearing Catholic radio, who through listening to various questions and answer shows, listening to the devotions that are played, to be able to reconnect. If they had the Catholic faith when they were younger, they can reconnect with that. They can get answers to questions that they perhaps didn't know that they had in their minds. You just never, ever know. And that's one of the things about Catholic radio that's kind of unique. You just don't know who's out there listening and who needs to hear it. So it's 888-287-0655, 888-287-0655. We are getting close to the bottom of the hour, so I'm going to have to go to break so I can bring our next guest on. Our next guest is Father Sean Wilson, the pastor of the Petersburg parishes. The plan is to join by video, and that's been a little bit troublesome for a couple of folks. We were able to do that, and but we'll see how it goes. And if it doesn't work, then we'll get him on the phone, and we'll talk to him that way, and we can learn more about his parishes. So please call. If you're on the fence, hey, now might be the perfect time to make that push, that next step in faith to sow a seed into Holy Family Radio. It's 888-287-0655, 888-287-0655. That's 888-287-0655. And we're going to take this break right here. And I will come back and be talking to our next guest here on the Spring Spirit Drive on Holy Family Radio.
Hi, this is Father Sean.
Hi, Father Sean. This is Deacon Jeff. How are you?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
I'm doing good, as well as I can be right now, actually,
Yeah.
because it's this video streaming solution is a new one for us. So there's some glitches with that, but anyhow, this is our backup plan, and this is what we'll go with.
Okay. Sorry, I'm a bit late. I was trying to get the video thing to work, but unfortunately here we are.
Yeah. Nope, no worries at all. No worries at all. I'm looking to see. I'm going to cut into our music break so that we can get started fairly quickly, okay?
Okay.
So I'm going to put the feed on, and then I'll bring you on, and we'll chat from there.
Okay. Perfect.
And welcome back to the Spring Spirit Drive here on Holy Family Radio. I am Deacon Jeff Compton. So glad that you could be listening and joining us today for this special 3-day fundraising event that we call the Spring Spirit Drive. And we call it spring because it happens in the springtime, and as opposed to having it in the fall. We've only ever had one fall spirit drive, and that was in 2020 because guess what? Just like everything else in 2020 in the springtime was canceled. We couldn't get out here to do that work, and everyone's just kind of figuring out what the heck is going to be going on around that time. But we did one in the fall, but this is the spring, and this is our 11th year of doing the Spring Spirit Drive, as we ask you for your donations as we continue this work that is Catholic Radio, this Catholic media ministry that we like to call it, now that we're joining this video streaming realm and trying to reach out through our mobile apps and trying to reach more people for the good news of the gospel of Jesus Christ and his church. So right now I want to bring on our next guest, and kind of excited to talk with him because it's a priest and a pastor that we haven't talked to before. It's in our listening area, and but I am a little bit familiar with him because of another guest that we have had on the air, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. I'd like to welcome to the Spirit Drive, Father Sean Wilson, who's pastor of the Petersburg parishes. Welcome, Father Sean.
Hi, Deacon Jeff. Thanks so much for having me on and for all the good work you're doing with Holy Family Radio.
Well, thank you. It's great that you could take time out of your busy day here in the middle of the Easter octave to help us talk a little bit about Catholic Radio and talk a little bit about the work that you do, leading a cluster of parishes, I believe. So folks are not familiar with who you are. Why don't you give us a little bit of your background and kind of what your current assignment entails?
Sure. So I'm probably outside of, or I'm not one of your normal listeners in the Diocese of Toledo. So I'm in the Archdiocese of Cincinnati. I serve as the pastor for parishes in Wapakoneta, Botkins, Rheine, and Freiburg. So Rheine and Freiburg, you might not have heard of those kind of small country churches. But yeah, so we're the last parishes in the Archdiocese of Cincinnati before you get into Allen County and the diocese, the great diocese of Toledo. So I've been the pastor of these 4 parishes for almost 4 years, and then actually I served as the parochial vicar, as the associate priest for 2 years before that, and these are the only parishes I've known as a priest. So I was ordained in 2016 and have been here ever since.
So how unusual is that you go from parochial vicar to the pastor of your parish? I mean, that's kind of a little bit different, isn't it?
It really is, and it was quite a change on like day one. I really miss not being able to say that phrase, "Oh, you're going to have to ask the pastor about that." Right? Like all the tough questions, all the difficult ones, and really like ones that honestly I don't know any better as the pastor than I did as the parochial vicar. Now I just have to figure out the answers. So it is a really unique thing, and presents some great blessings, some great opportunities, and a few unique challenges.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure. Now, as a group of 4 parishes, has that always been the case, or is it something that's come about because of the need to restructure in the Beacons of Light program?
Yeah, so the 4 parishes have worked together kind of varying degrees. So 2 of the parishes started sharing a pastor in 1989. So they're just 3 miles apart. St. Lawrence out in Rhiney and Immaculate Conception in Bakken started sharing a pastor in 89. And then in 2009, there were 2 priests sharing 3 parishes. And so 1 pastor and 2 parochial vicars. That's when St. Joseph and Wapakoneta began sharing a pastor with Immaculate Conception in Bakken and Rhiney. And then in 2013, St. John and Freiburg joined the family. So it's been since 2013, which is quite a while since all of these parishes have been working together. Or actually, let me take that back. It's 2014, St. John. So nonetheless, it's been 8 years of working together.
Mm-hmm. And they're called the Petersburg parishes, and I'm a little bit confused as to where that comes from.
Yeah. You got to kind of be in the area to know that, and even some people in the area don't know exactly why that is, because we're not anywhere near like St. Petersburg, Florida, or anything like that. But the original parish in the area was one in a little village called Petersburg. So that was back in the early 1800s. There was a little mission church founded in Petersburg, and then as more people started moving to the area, and the population, kind of the centers of population grew in different areas. The Petersburg church was defunct. So all 4 of the current parishes are outgrowths of the original Petersburg church. So it's a name and that kind of touches to our history. Now the village, the town of Petersburg, is no longer existent. The only thing that's there is the cemetery. So that's why we went with the name the Petersburg parishes.
Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. Absolutely,
it does.
So, with 4 parishes, no matter how small, that presents its own challenges. How has that been for you as really a new pastor and now moving forward?
Right. So, a lot of great work was done before I started as the pastor. So there were a lot of great kind of things. Whether it's just one of the first things is just figuring out a mass schedule, where priests getting from one place to the next in time to greet the people, or even just getting to know each other. Mm-hmm. And this can happen in any area of life where it's people that aren't of our people. They're kind of like competition, and even kind of with different parishes, it's competition for Father's time, for his attention, or all of those different things. And so part of it, a lot of the great work that was done before I became the pastor is just to start to bring things together. So, for example, RCA happening all together, just all 4 parishes joined together for that, and then collaboration amongst CCD and youth formation and various things. Just kind of over the years have had more and more unity, and that's just kind of the general progression that things have been. So now there's just one parish office for the 4. For the 4 parishes, and most of our parish staff serves all 4 parishes. So there's growing unity, which makes things a lot more streamlined and a lot and just kind of a lot deeper, I think, and a lot more connections between people. But it does present challenges. There's a whole a whole identity thing that goes when you start calling yourselves, even Petersburg parishes, that we've always identified as this parish, and my grandparents, my great grandparents, all went here, and family members helped build the place. So that's a whole real loss, and of course those buildings are still there, and they're God's houses, so we plan to keep them around forever. So yeah, but there's definitely challenges, but there's some great blessings, because a lot of the talents get shared amongst all the people and the blessings, and but there's with anything in life, there's great blessings, but there are great challenges to overcome.
Right, and it sounds to me that the intention and the fruits of the intended fruits from the Beacons of Light program for the Archdiocese of Cincinnati is kind of, that really has not affected your parishes in some way, because you've kind of already done that, right?
Yeah. So there are things that I guess I'd like to think we're ahead of the curve on this, but there's still some things that we'll have to do. So, for example, we're rolling out a new Mass schedule the 1st of July, because part of the Beacons of Light is just a recognition that priests are running themselves ragged, and we're just kind of running all over the place. And so they've actually encouraged our schedules to be a bit trimmer. So we're going from 7 weekend masses to 6, but that's caused quite a bit of a reshuffling of the Mass schedule. Mm-hmm. So those are things people notice, right? People know what time and what place they're showing up for Mass. So we're ahead of the game on a lot, but that we're not just sitting back and watching everybody else go through this. We have our own kind of things we have to do as part of this process.
Right. Yeah. One of the tough things about change is change can be seen as loss, and we don't like to lose things, right?
That's exactly right. And we all go through that. We all go through loss so many times in our lives. And I could even think, you were asking about the role of going from parochial vicar, from the associate to the pastor. I didn't realize it at the time, but there were a number of losses, whether it's just the demands of time, of being like the fun, cool priest that got to say yes to everybody, to having to make tough decisions. Like that's a great loss in freedom of identity, but one, everybody has to do. We have to grow up eventually, but so yeah, there's losses that people experience, and how do you help them go through that as part of it, just to identify them, to say, yeah, that is a real loss. And to know that people, we always, when there's a loss, we have an opportunity to move forward, and we have a say in that. Mm-hmm. Even if somebody says, well, we used to always go to this Mass time, and we used to always do this after Mass, right? We'd always go to this donut shop as a family or whatever. Yeah. And that we get a chance to redesign that and to say, okay, well, we're going at this time now, and we can still do this, but maybe it'll look differently. Mm-hmm. So it's one, to acknowledge that loss, and then to say, okay, how do we move forward, and what does that look like? And the good thing is the Lord gives us a free will that we have a say in that.
Yeah, that's right. We do. We absolutely do. So not only is there those challenges, but there's also a lot of good fruits that come from this. What are some of the good things that are happening in your parishes? Some of the highlights, so to speak.
Yeah, well, we're just coming off the Sacred Triduum and the Easter Vigil, and this between the Easter Vigil and Divine Mercy Sunday, we're bringing 14 people into the church. So that's a beautiful thing. Yeah. A great group of people who are just really that flame that the Lord's placed in their heart is really growing. And to see like people from the different parishes interact and grow from each other and begin to know each other, that's just a beautiful thing. And to be able to kind of pool resources together so that we can have our best catechists serving, and you can put you can put your energy together. Things generally get better. You think about like building a fire. You want all of those logs in one place. If you scatter them all over the fire ring, they're all going to burn out pretty quickly. So, RCA is one of those examples. There's also just a lot of kind of encouraging things happening with our youth. A lot of our youth are getting to meet each other. And one of the cool things about these multiple parish things is high schoolers don't particularly care about all of the kind of the issues that some of us struggle with. And so they're really open to growing in their faith, and they're kind of like blank slates, and just seeing some of them really come alive. And so I'm just thinking of one story of a young man who was just having a rough time in just kind of his life and in kind of decisions and all the stuff that goes with high school, and him finding peace in our Eucharistic Adoration Chapel. So I guess our associate priest, the other priest, Father Jedediah Tridos, always encouraging people to silence and to encounter the Lord in prayer. And it's hard, especially when there's so much noise coming at us. But this young man just thought he would give it a shot, and had really a transformative experience before the Blessed Sacrament. Mm-hmm. And so just little things like that. You see the Lord at work, whether it's with the youth or with new Catholics, or even couples preparing for marriage, and everything that goes with that. So a lot of the Lord's very busy in all of our lives, which praise God for that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's good to think about those times. It gives us some inspiration and helps us, to kind of keep slogging away day by day, right? To do the hard work, and to know that really, even though it seems like hard work, it's the Lord that does all the hard work for us to kind of break down those walls around our hearts.
Absolutely. And it's, I love the parable of the sower that's scattering seed, and some of it falls on rocky ground, some of it falls on good ground, some of it falls on the path. It's like that our role is just to simply scatter the seed. And the Lord is really, in that, or at least that parable, he's not particular about where he scatters it, right? Sometimes we're like, let's just put our energy to those places that we know it's going to be a success. And the Lord actually says, well, no, just scatter it everywhere, and I'll take it from there. Mm-hmm. And so just to watch him prep the soil and then help it grow and mature in people's hearts it's really exciting to get a front row seat to a lot of that.
Yeah, absolutely. I like the way you put that, a front row seat to kind of see kind of what happens and what does bear fruit out of all that scattering. So
right.
You are listening to the Spring Spirit Drive here on Holy Family Radio. You're listening to 94.9 WOHA in Ada or Lima, WJTA 80.9 FM in Glandorf, and or W204CU, that's 88.7 in Findlay. 3 stations, soon to be 4, and hopefully 5 when we add Fostoria, and like I say, hopefully Van Wert to the list of stations here for Holy Family Radio. That's only possible through your donations. So I encourage you to call and help us to continue that message and scatter that seed far and wide at 888-287-0655. That's 888-287-0655, or to our website at holyfamilyradio.fm, or via our mobile app. It will take you right to the exact same place. You can make a one-time or recurring donation, whichever you prefer. You can usually give more money by doing a monthly recurring donation, because $10 turns into $120, $20 turns into $240, and so that can be a much more way to be able to give a bigger gift. So we're talking to Father Sean Wilson, pastor of the Petersburg parishes in the Archdiocese of Cincinnati, borders right up against the Diocese of Toledo, and covered with our signal from 94.9 FM. And in talking and thinking about Catholic radio, in terms of being able to spread that seed far and wide, radio has radio played a part in your listening? Is it something that's a part of your everyday life?
For a while, the Catholic radio was, and all radio was, but there was one Lent that I had decided to go silence while I'm driving in the car, unless I'm, on a multi-hour drive or something like that. And that actually was one of those things that you're like, I'm going to keep doing this because I think this is important. So I really don't listen to much radio at all, just because of my own just my need for silence, I guess.
Yeah, that is interesting, because oftentimes, we have too much sometimes, too much noise, right? And you need to get away from it.
Right.
So
we do. But what the radio can be so important, because it's, in some ways, all of us are in the car at some point, and you have that one opportunity to to kind of zone out towards music, or even to listen to sports or to listen to talk radio. And sometimes that doesn't do a whole lot for our souls, but to offer the Lord a shot through Catholic radio is, that's just something beautiful that people can do while they're in their cars, or even listen to it at home. And to give the Lord that space.
That's right. Yeah, absolutely. And I know that you are involved with a podcast, I believe, or at least the last couple of years we've talked to Julia Manin, who is an author. The World is Noisy, some journals that she's done over time. And are you still doing that podcast with her? I think it's called Darting Through the Faith.
Yeah, we are. So Julia is a parishioner here, and we've gotten to know each other over the years, and just decided to do a podcast. And I kind of have this realization in this heart a few years back that just to teach the catechism of the Catholic Church is such a great gift given to us, and one that oftentimes just gets talked about, or it stays in a shelf, but really wanted to open it up and share the wisdom and the treasure that it is with as many people as possible. And so basically the Darting Through the Faith podcast basically means that we have a dartboard with a bunch of paragraphs from the catechism, really the whole catechism laid out there. And at the end of every show, we just throw a dart up on the dartboard and see where it lands. And that's what we talk about next time. So it's kind of fun, and you kind of don't know where you're going, but the Lord seems to lead that. So for example, this Friday, the one that's coming out is about the resurrection. That's the resurrection of Jesus as a work of the Trinity. It's like, well, we just celebrated Easter. So I think the Lord's leading this one. Now, granted, I might have been aiming for that, but I think anybody who knows me, and my brothers can testify to this, my dart aim is not that good. So I might have been aiming for it, but I got a little help from the Lord, I think.
Yeah, exactly. One of those lucky misses, right, in a sense?
Right, right.
So where can people find that podcast?
It's on Apple, it's on Google, it's on Spotify, pretty much anywhere that you get your podcast. We also record it video, so you can watch it on YouTube also if you want to watch the video.
Okay.
So sometimes those are fun to do, the video, because recently I cut my hair into a mohawk for the podcast. No particular reason other than somebody didn't think I would. So that only lasted a day. So you can only see that on the YouTube. I don't know what day. It was sometime in April.
All right.
Or March. The end of March.
End of March. Yeah. Sometimes you have to be careful what you ask for, right? Because you just might get it.
Yeah. And when you have parishioners coming up and saying, Father, your hair's not in a mohawk. When are we going to see that? Like, gosh, I guess I better do that. So.
Yes. Sounds like a lot of fun. So, what are some of the, is there any special things that are going on in your parish coming up that you'd like folks to know about?
Well, one of the things we're just talking about today is, with Easter kind of wrapping up, or I guess the Easter season really just taken off. There's all the normal things happening in parishes. So, First Communion and graduations from high school. But one of the things I always look forward to is the Corpus Christi procession. So the Feast of the Most Holy Body and Blood of Christ, which is June 19th. That's Corpus Christi Sunday. We do a Eucharistic procession through the streets of Wapakoneta after the 10 a.m. Mass. So if anybody wants to come to the 10 a.m. Mass on June the 19th, we'll be processing through town after Mass with the Eucharist and have a time for adoration too. So that's one of the things I always look forward. I have very fond memories of growing up with that. So it's a beautiful devotion.
Yeah, absolutely. The public display of the Eucharist and just kind of, being out there where people can see you is just as important as anything else to show that demonstration of faith in this culture that's really, really getting pretty dark. Yeah.
And kind of a funny story. Last year, the parochial vicar had it, Father Jedediah, and I had Mass at one of the other parishes. But as he was processing through the streets of Wapakoneta, they were passing by a non-Catholic church in town, and as soon as they were letting out, the Eucharistic procession was passing by, which was kind of like, I think, shocking for our non-Catholic brothers and sisters. But they got to meet our Lord face to face which is just great. But it caused a bit of a traffic jam, and I think another one of those happy coincidences that the Lord's just kind of probably smiling upon us, and so that's kind of you never know how He's going to work when you take Him to the streets.
Exactly right. That is kind of interesting. One of those wonderful coincidences that happen. It's like it couldn't happen at a better time in some way, right?
That's right.
All right.
Wanted to say if they just wanted to follow the procession, we'd take them they could follow the Eucharist. That's what we're all doing.
That's right. Exactly. All right. So we're talking to Father Sean Wilson. It's coming up here to the top of the hour. Father, is there anything? I'll give you the last word. If there's anything you want to wrap us up with.
Nothing in particular, although as I look at my desk here, there's a statue of St. Joseph, and being at St. Joseph's Church and having the year of St. Joseph that Pope Francis declared last year, I think maybe just an important devotion and an really important figure in our church that sometimes gets overlooked, and which I guess he enjoys just having that silence. But I just encourage all of the listeners to make devotion to him a part of your life, because I think in everything that's going on in the culture today, St. Joseph is a great answer to that, and a great example of masculinity, of what it means to be faithful and what it means to be dedicated, and especially in a silent way. So, as the scriptures say, go to Joseph.
Go to Joseph, terror of demons, right?
That's right. Love that title.
I do too. All right. Could you maybe offer us a blessing before we let you go?
Sure. Through the intercession of St. Joseph, all the angels and saints, may Almighty God bless all of you and your families. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Father. Appreciate you taking the time today out of your busy schedule, and wishing you all the best this Easter season.
Thanks so much, Deacon Jeff. God bless, and may the Lord bless you in this great ministry.
Thank you. Appreciate that very much. All right, folks, we are here at the top of the hour. At 4 o'clock hour, we have 2 hours left in this first day of our Spring Spirit Drive. Want to make sure that you have the opportunity to offer your best gift to keep this radio station going and growing. 888-287-0655, 888-287-0655. That's the phone number you need to call. You need to call that now to make sure that we can have the funds that we need to keep this radio station going. This is important work. This radio station changes lives. It's changing hearts and minds and saving lives. That is for certain. And you play a part in that by letting us continue to do it through your gifts. So I have to go to a break. Our next guest is going to be Gary Zimmeck, the author and speaker of the What Me Worried for Lent type of books, that sort of thing. We'll talk to him as we come back. So this is Deacon Jeff Compton at the Spring Spirit Drive 2022 and Holy Family Radio. We shall be back after this break.
Hello? Hello?
It helps.
Hello?
It helps if I turn my microphone on, doesn't it, Gary? Jeez. This is Deacon Jeff.
I was wondering. I thought it was me for a minute. Hey, Deacon, how you doing?
Good. It's I run the board and everything by myself in the studio, so
Okay.
I get to pushing buttons here and there, trying to make sure this doesn't go over the air, and so then I forget to turn my microphone on to talk to you.
Okay.
So we
Well,
are.
I'm glad you can hear me. I'm glad I can hear you.
Yes, absolutely. So, I've got a little less than 2 minutes before we'll be back live. So we'll get to you pretty quick.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, doing all this by myself is really kind of interesting. It's hard to keep up my end of the conversation sometimes without a little help. So,
I bet.
Is there anything that is there any way you'd like me to kind of lead the conversation for you?
No. I mean, just whatever you're comfortable with, and we'll just let the Holy Spirit lead us.
All right, we can
Does that
do
work?
that. Okay. I've been told that people can hear us talking on Facebook Live because I'm streaming this. So I'm going to stop talking and we'll get going.
Facebook Live.
Yeah. And we are back here live in the studio. This is Deacon Jeff Compton bringing you the last 2 hours of our Spring Spirit Drive. The first day of 3 days of live radio, 11 hours each day, 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. And it's your time for you to be able to help and support us through your donations. And we've got volunteers in our studio office ready to take your phone calls at 888-287-0655. That's 888-287-0655. You can also donate online at our website at holyfamilyradio.fm. That's Holy Family Radio. That's all one word, .fm. If you do .com, .org, .net, you're going to get a different Holy Family Radio. There are many Holy Family Radios around the country. Like there's one in West Virginia. There's one in Michigan. There may be one in Pennsylvania area. I'm not sure. Haven't looked them all up. But either way, the one that you want to talk or interact with is holyfamilyradio.fm. You can also look for our mobile apps and be able to donate that way. Listen to us online. You can even watch us with the live stream today as well on that platform, as well as Facebook Live, YouTube Live, on our website. So trying something new, always looking to do something new for the Lord, to be able to reach more people with the good news of the gospel and the truth, the fullness of truth that resides in the Catholic Church. So I'd like to now, without further ado, welcome our next guest onto the program that we call the Spring Spirit Drive. And on the phone right now is Gary Zimmeck, who is an author and a speaker and a frequent guest here on our Spirit Drives at Holy Family Radio. So welcome, Gary.
Deacon Jeff, it's always great to be on with you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's great to have you back, and you are probably looking to settle down just a little bit after Holy Week, and I'm sure all the Lenten retreats that you did over the last several weeks.
Deacon, I'll tell you, it was an amazing Lent. It was my busiest Lent ever, and I did 5 parish missions plus some other talks, traveled around the country, but this is the first time in 2 years that I've gotten to go out during Lent. And it was great to see all the people. It was great to see all the people. The talks were packed. I did my Give Up Worry for Lent parish missions, and people were really excited. The churches were full. I was glad to see it. But as you said, man, I am exhausted. I really am.
And I'm just catching a bit of a break because I'm headed to Texas this weekend to speak at a Divine Mercy conference. So I'm really excited about that. I really love being able to travel and write and speak for the Lord, but it's also nice to relax a little bit sometimes. So I'm enjoying my time home right now.
Well, that's great. And I follow you a little bit on social media and the like, and you ran into some weather issues more than once, I believe, didn't you?
I did. So I was in Louisiana. I was speaking in Baton Rouge, and there was tornadoes headed their way. It's severe weather. We had tornadoes, and we were spared, fortunately, where I was. But the following week, I was in the Mobile, Alabama area, and the same thing, more severe weather. So, I broke the trend when I went to central Pennsylvania the following week. After that, there was no problems. So this weekend I'm headed to Texas. So I'm saying my prayers that I can get in and out with no problems. Starting to think I'm bad luck, Deacon.
Oh no, can't possibly be. I think someone was trying to stop you from spreading all that good news and that good teaching to folks. So, giving up worry for Lent. So, if we've given up worry for Lent, does that mean we have to take it back up again?
Oh man, you know what? I've been asked that question, and that's why I had a follow-up book that I wrote called "Give Up Worry for Good," because I said no, we can't take it back up again. But I do want to talk for a minute. I do have a new book out. It's called "Let Go of Your Fear: Choosing to Trust Jesus in Life's Stormy Times." This book just came out, and I really haven't had much time to talk about it because I've been so busy getting a Lenten message out there. Mm-hmm. But as somebody that who travels a lot, it's very easy for me to give in to fear, especially when it comes to extreme weather situations or, all the COVID, the threat of COVID and am I going to get sick or how dangerous is it? It's very easy for me and for most of us to give in to fear. And the devil uses that. As you said, you think somebody might be trying to stop me from doing what I'm doing. A lot of times he plays into our fears. And when the Lord asks us to do things, there's always some element of uncertainty involved. I mean, you could really apply that to anything in life and say, well, if I walk outside of my house today, I could be hit by a car. And there is some risk involved in life. And it really boils down, I think, to a matter of trust. And this is a way that the Lord has been working with me. I'm not somebody who naturally trusts very easy or trust him very easy. Mm-hmm. And I'm very prone to fear and anxiety. So, this is a constant thing. This is a constant tension that I have in my life working for him. I don't especially like to get on a plane and travel into, unknown weather conditions, airport delays. But that's a decision that I have to make. And I think we all have to make that in some way. Am I going to go out of the house and do what the Lord wants me to do? Or am I going to be afraid and don't? And the same thing could be applied to your pledge drive right now. Mm-hmm. There's a tendency, maybe I should hang on to my money. I don't want to give. But yet what the Lord wants us to do is to trust him and to really take that step out in faith. And I believe that that's how we grow closer to him, by trusting him more, by choosing to trust him, even when we might be afraid.
Yeah, that's a great point. And I can confess that is something that I think about too. I need to hold on to my money. I need to hold on to those things. Yeah. A scarcity mentality is the kind of way you think about it. I'm never going to have enough, so I can't give it away. Then I won't have it anymore.
Right. But we have to remember that the Lord owns all the money in the world. It's all his, and he wants us to trust him. And that's that tendency we have, I think. And that's why I think Lent, the church encourages us to give alms during Lent and to give something up, because we have this tendency to want to just store things away. And it's not always just money, it's our time too. I don't want to volunteer too much at church because they might ask me to do even more, and mm-hmm. We got to be careful with that mentality. The Lord wants us to give. It doesn't mean we're not supposed to save. We are supposed to save, but sometimes we save for a little bit more than just a rainy day. We sometimes place our security in our bank account, and we got to be careful about that. I know I have to be careful about that, but Deacon, being in full-time ministry for 10 years, I don't have to worry as much as when I worked in the software industry. The Lord He's a great boss, but he doesn't pay that well. But that's okay. The retirement plan is really good.
There you go. The retirement plan's really good. You mentioned 10 years. I mean, when you started, did you ever imagine that 10 years down the road you'd be where you're at today?
No way. I was, as I said, I was in the software industry. I was a software developer for 30 years. And somewhere toward the end of my career in software, I had a pretty big conversion experience. I never fell away from the Catholic Church, but I really came to know Jesus and really surrendered my life to him. And I wanted to work for him in some way, but it came about through a job layoff. And it's never the way I just absolutely didn't expect it to be that way. I was the sole provider for my family. And my wife is the one who said to me, look, you've always wanted to do this. Why don't you just give it a shot? Try full-time ministry. And 10 years, it's unbelievable. I've written 11 books. I've spoken coast to coast, border to border. And I never thought it would last this long. But it came down to one day at a time, to placing my trust in the Lord. And believe me, there have been some rough times. We've had to sell our home. We had to really cut back. But he has provided. He's been so faithful to us, and I've learned a lot, Deacon, in the past 10 years. And I'm determined to keep doing it for as long as I can. I'm going to be working for the Lord. He just tells me where I go, and I'm on board, But he's called me to trust him, and he puts me into situations. He's put me into situations that has really forced me to trust him. It doesn't come easy to me, but sometimes being in the storm is the best way to grow closer to him and to really place your trust in him.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Hey, we're talking to Gary Zimmeck, who is author and speaker, and it's the Spring Spirit Drive, folks. And we need to hear from you if we want to reach our goal at the end of this. It's 888-287-0655. 888-287-0655. 888-287-0655. The Spring Spirit Drive here on Holy Family Radio. You mentioned it was your wife that said, "Hey, you've been thinking about doing this. Why don't you just give it a shot?" How much of a help is that to know that sometimes it's our spouses that kind of help to push us a little bit here and there, and to trust us too, right?
Yeah, and the amazing thing, Deacon Jeff, is that my wife has always been a worrier about money. So for her to say that was obviously the Holy Spirit working through her. And, after she said it, I think she regretted it a few times because we both went through difficult times. But I knew that when it came from her, I knew that was the Holy Spirit encouraging me. And don't think for a minute, though, that I didn't doubt along the way. There were plenty of times where I started looking back at the boat. I was walking on the water temporarily, but I kept looking back at the boat. And I tried to climb back in several times, including reapplying to the company who let me go because I heard they were starting to bring some people back. And I thought, all right, maybe I better abandon this idea. But I'm really glad that I persevered because the Lord has really gotten me through, and he's really opened up a lot of doors for me. And I certainly don't deserve any of this. I don't deserve to work for him. I'm a nobody. I don't have a theology degree. I have a business degree. I didn't have what I thought were the qualifications, but you've heard the old saying, the Lord doesn't qualify or call the qualified, he qualifies the called. Yep. So it's just a matter of trusting him. And, as you know, in Catholic radio, I'm sure you've dealt with the same thing. And, he gives us what we need if we trust him. Exactly
right. We can set all the goals that we want, and we hope that we blow past that and accumulate, a real, windfall or whatever. But, whatever we get is what God wants us to have, and you make do with what it is that you do have, and that's what we all have to do in our own personal lives, right? You've got a budget, you've got to make sure you can do some things, and you do that the most prudent way that you can. And so, we're grateful for every single dollar that we get.
Yeah, and that's and what you're doing by having to go out and ask for money. And, to stay on the air, that's really the way the Lord wants us all to be to a certain extent. That's why Jesus gave us the words to the Lord's Prayer, give us this day our daily bread. I mean, I'd rather get the daily bread for the next year so I can relax a little bit. But when you start walking with him, as you know, Deacon, right, He wants us to trust him day by day and turn to him for our needs. And look, you're still on the air. You're doing well. You're able to get the message out there due to the generosity of your listeners. The Lord's working through people to keep you on the air, and he's working through people who are hiring me and giving me the funding that I need to keep my full-time ministry going.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. So you say your most recent book is about fear. Is that right?
Yeah. Because you know why? I really wanted to write this book because when I do my parish missions, the second night I always focus on the storms at sea as documented in the gospel. I take the listeners or the audience into these storms because that's when we tend to worry. Those of us who have a tendency to worry, it's in the storm. And I wanted to give hope to the people in the middle of the storm because we're all either coming through a storm, we're in a storm, or we're headed into a storm. That's just the way life works. And I wanted to, by examining the accounts of Jesus in the middle of the Sea of Galilee with his apostles, one time he started out in the boat with them, the other time they started out on their own and he came walking to them on the sea. I wanted to go into these stories in a lot of detail, like I do it in my talks, to give hope to those who are looking at the storm in their own lives right now and saying this is hopeless. Because once Jesus is involved, there is no such thing as hopeless. And just because it looks dark at any point in time doesn't mean it won't end in a better way. Not always by the circumstances changing, but by the internal change that he can bring. As they say, sometimes Jesus calms the storm, sometimes he calms the sailor. So that's what the book is all about. It's a look at fear, and I intended it to possibly diminish the fear in the people who read the book so that they don't begin to let that fear lead to worry.
Right. Yeah, and really, when you think about our culture, our society today, boy, there's a lot to not just worry about, but actually even fear.
Oh, yeah. There really is. And I tell people all the time, you've got to limit your intake when it comes to the news. If you start your day by watching the news, by looking at your news feed on social media, you're going to be pretty depressed because it all seems like bad news. It seems like the world is spiraling out of control. But if you start the day by looking at your daily Mass readings, if you start the day by prayer, if you're able to get to daily Mass, and you spend that time with the Lord, it's going to give you a completely different outlook on life because with him, all things are possible. And he is absolutely in control of this world. And it's very easy to lose sight of that. Yes. We're dealing with an invisible kingdom that's we're unable to see the kingdom of God with our eyes. But we can see all the bad stuff happening in our lives, in the nation, in the world. So we've got to do some work to really to see through the eyes of faith that invisible kingdom and realize that Jesus is more powerful than any problem we could ever face.
Amen to that. Absolutely. Yeah, it is. It is frightening. I am a consumer of the social media, and partially I tell folks I do that so that I can be in touch with what other people are experiencing and seeing and doing, so I might be able to interpret that a bit for them to understand what it is. It's not something that I try to let get a hold of me, but yet, boy, I think a lot of people need to understand that we don't need to know everything, and not everything is in our circle of concern.
Yeah, it's good to be informed, and that's what I do. I make sure that I know what's going on, but at some point, there are so many things out of our control. And if we just dwell on them, and especially when people are on TV and on the internet making predictions, many of which have proven to not come true, especially with what we've been going through with COVID over the past 2 years. I've heard predictions so many times, and they didn't come true. But yet the people would speak them with such authority. And really, when it comes down to it, only one person is in charge. That's the Lord. He's in charge. He knows what's going on. And I'm not saying don't be informed. I believe in being informed. But I think we have to limit it. As you were saying, you have to limit it and sometimes pull away, because otherwise we can easily get sucked into that cycle of fear. I know I can. I know how to make myself afraid. I really know what I can do to make myself feel afraid. And I also know what I need to do to make myself be at peace. You know, if I focus on the Lord, if I focus on reading about the miracles of Jesus, if I focus on how much he loves me, we just came through Holy Week. If that doesn't prove to me, if what he did on Calvary doesn't prove how much he loves me, then I don't think anything does. And I like the readings, the daily Mass readings, especially the Gospels all this week, this octave of Easter, because we see repeatedly people who didn't get it. They are looking at the empty tomb and they're depressed, they're sad, they're discouraged. But yet that empty tomb was the answer. That empty tomb was good news. So I really think it sometimes depends on how we look at things, how we process information. Sometimes we look at something that appears bad, but it's really not bad. It's really the Lord working in our lives.
Right. Yep. Amen to that, Gary. I tell you, it's always good to talk to you because you give me some hope and inspiration for sure.
Well, thank you.
Just to relate and remember that whatever travails and fears that we have, the Lord experienced all those as well. He was fully God, but he's fully man. And through his suffering, we are redeemed, and we have to participate in that. There's no way that we can escape suffering.
Right.
But certainly our attitude towards it and our willingness to participate and cooperate with that is truly important. It's transformative.
Yeah, and that's really, if we're looking for peace, that's where the peace lies. And when I've done these parish missions, I would contrast two of my favorite Bible verses, two of my favorite quotes of Jesus. One is Matthew 11:28, where he says, "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest." And then I look at Luke 9:23, where Jesus says, if you want to be my follower, you have to deny yourself, take up your cross daily, and follow me. And I'll say, what gives there? Because people will question that. Wait a minute, he's talking about peace, and now he's talking about if you want to be my follower, you have to pick up your cross and follow me. What happened to the rest and the peace? Well, the peace comes from picking up your cross and following Jesus. Sometimes he's going to lead you. If we're going to follow him, we really have to follow him. And that means he's going to take us to Calvary sometimes. But that's where the peace is. Fighting it is not going to bring peace into our lives. What's going to bring peace is by embracing that cross. And that is not an easy concept. I struggle with this one, but I found that if you just go along with it, say, all right, Lord, your will be done, that's where you get the peace. Yep,
absolutely. Well, Gary, we're running close to the end of this segment with you. Tell our listeners how they can get a hold of your books and how they can get hold of you and get you to come to do a mission.
Oh, I would love that. The best place is to go right to my website, and that's followingthetruth.com.
followingthetruth.com, and you can learn all about all of Gary's books and all of his talks and retreats and everything else that you have to offer, right?
That's it, exactly right. I would encourage anybody to visit the website, get in touch with me. Even if you're just struggling with some anxiety-related issues, I'd be more than happy to hear from you.
Fantastic. And by the way, we do air your program every week on Saturday afternoon.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. I love doing that show. I get a lot of good feedback from it.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Gary, thank you so much again for joining us here at the Spring Spirit Drive. We wish you all the best in all of your work from here on forward.
Deacon, thank you so much. And I encourage everybody listening to please support the great work that these folks are doing, so they can help spread the good news. Thanks so much for having me, Deacon.
Oh, you're welcome. Once again, everybody, that was Gary Zimmeck, who is a author and speaker out of the Philadelphia area. He was actually on the radio there for a little while at Holy Spirit Radio, I believe, is in the Philadelphia area. It has a program called, I can't remember what it's called now. I call it the Gary Zimmeck Show, and air that on Saturdays, I think at 1 p.m. And it's a good little program, and he does a great job with that, and offers a reflection on that week's gospel. So 888-287-0655. That's the phone number you need to call. 888-287-0655. We really do need to hear from you. We need to round out today with a good finish, a strong finish, with your donations. 888-287-0655 or online at holyfamilyradio.fm. holyfamilyradio.fm. So I'm going to play what's next for you is a shortened version of a talk that was given by Peter Kraft. Peter Kraft is a professor at Boston College. Wonderful, wise man who became Catholic, and he offers this talk. It's called "Winning the Culture." It is one of the best talks I've heard in terms of how to address the culture, how to understand what's happening in our culture today, and some of those antidotes to it. So this is about a half hour long. So I'm going to play this, and it'll bleed into our next segment where we're going to welcome in some of the art contest winners of our school folder art contest winners. So you're listening to the Spring Spirit Drive here on Holy Family Radio. We will be back after this talk, after the top of the hour, on the Spring Spirit Drive on Holy Family Radio. Hey everybody, this is Deacon Jeff Compton, Managing Director of Holy Family Radio. It's Spring Spirit Drive time here. That's right. We are back here live in the studios here at Holy Family Radio. I'm Deacon Jeff, and it's been a great pleasure to be with you for 10 hours today. And now this is our 11th hour. It's 5 o'clock hour here at Holy Family Radio, the Spring Spirit Drive. We need to hear from you. If you've been waiting all day to make your donation, now would be a great time to do it by calling 888-287-0655. That's 888-287-0655. That's the number to call. Our volunteers are waiting in the office right now behind me to be able to take your pledge, your donation. One-time donation of any amount or a recurring donation every month. We can set that up for you. Cash, credit, debit. It makes us no difference. It's all the same. 888-287-0655. And right now, this is the hour that we reserve for our art contest winners. And we announced earlier today those winners. And I'm pleased to be joined in the studio by one of those winners. And I'm going to put my little graphic up here. And then I'm going to press this button here. And now I'm going to be joined by our winner in our 4th through 6th grade division with his artwork. And we're talking to Hudson Schrader. Congratulations, Hudson. You can say hello.
Hi.
So congratulations for winning that. Why don't you hold your artwork up for us so that they can see it on the camera a little bit higher. There you go. Look at that. That is really colorful. I think that's what caught our judges' eyes. And what does it say there at the bottom? What did you write down there? What's that slogan on the bottom?
Come join our Catholic family.
Come join our Catholic family. It fits so well with our theme for family, doesn't it? Yeah. So what was your idea or inspiration for that piece of artwork there?
Our church looked beautiful, so I wanted to make a church.
Okay. And it's really colorful. Is that so why don't you describe it for us just a little bit, especially that walkway at the bottom. How did you want to do that?
I wanted to make it look like there was like little rocks making the whole path.
Okay.
And then I put stained glass windows to make it look like a church more. And then I made a bell.
Okay.
And made the sun really big.
Because the sun is really big, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Big and warm. So have you always liked art and drawing? Or is this something that's kind of new for you?
I just usually drew like in the color books at home.
Okay. So that's something you kind of just spent some extra time with?
Mm-hmm.
Did you just do coloring, or did you actually do some drawings?
I did mostly like drawings in a color book, and then sometimes I do little sketches.
Okay. All right. Always with crayons, or did you use other sorts of things like markers?
Markers and crayon and color pencils.
Okay. So you do like art a little bit. Yeah? A little bit?
Little.
Is it your favorite subject?
No.
No? Do you have a favorite subject?
Yeah.
You do?
Mm-hmm.
What is it?
Math.
Math.
Mm-hmm.
Did you know I have a master's degree in applied statistics and an undergraduate degree in mathematics? You could be like me. Yeah, don't ever do applied statistics unless you're planning to go into, political sampling or pharmaceutical testing, all that stuff. It's kind of complicated. Do you find math complicated?
A little.
A little? Yeah. What are you learning in math right now?
We're learning pounds and like ounces, how to turn pounds into ounces.
Okay. Very good. That's a practical skill, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Where do you go to school?
St. Anthony.
St. Anthony's in Columbus Grove. And who's your teacher?
Miss Schrader.
Miss Schrader. All right. Any relation?
No.
No? All right. So, did you try extra hard on this because it was a competition?
Yeah.
And why is that? Because you wanted to win?
No, because there was nothing to do at home, so I just went into my room and I wanted to color, since there was nothing else to do.
Right. Well, I think that time was well spent, don't you think? Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Sometimes, we're called by the Lord to go in our rooms and close the door and pray, right? And so sometimes we got to close our doors, go into our room, and kind of just be left alone to do something special, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, fantastic. So, do you think you want to do more art as you grow up?
I'll do like other contests maybe if we have other ones, but a little. Not
Okay.
really though.
All right. So, what do you like to do in your spare time?
Farm.
Farm. What's the best part about working on a farm?
Doing like figuring out how to fix the tractors if like they won't start or something.
Okay. Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Trying to repair, that sort of thing, maintenance? Now, why would that be?
Because I just like how like science and like how to like put stuff together.
So you like to take things apart and see how they work,
Mm-hmm.
right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? I did the same thing when I was younger. It drove my parents crazy. You know why? Because I took stuff apart and I never could put it back together again. How about you?
I take stuff apart and then like put it back together, but sometimes I can't get it back together.
Very good. So your mom and dad get frustrated at you about that a little bit?
A little.
Well, good. So do you have any friends that like art?
I don't think so.
Do you have any friends?
Grandma does it. My grandma does it
Does-
like a lot.
Does she?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Who's your grandma?
Grandma Kathy Lammers.
All right. Do you think she's listening or watching us right now?
Yeah.
All right. So shout out to Grandma, right? Yeah. All right. Here's a question that I'm getting questions from people that want to ask you some questions. They're asking, do we go around the sun or does the sun go around us?
We go around the sun.
All right. Very good. Good question. It's so much fun to kind of get these questions from all these other places. So, gosh, let me see, what other questions can I ask? Do you know what's going to happen with your artwork?
It's gonna be put onto a folder.
That's right. Here you go. Take that folder. Show everybody. Hold that up. And yours is going to go in the front because you were the winner. So it's going to be real big on that. So that's going to go to all the local Catholic schools in our listening area. And last year we gave out about 3,000 of them. Can you believe that? So 3,000 people are going to get those. Pretty cool, huh?
That's a lot.
That is a lot, isn't it? Yep. I know that my kids have brought them home from school, and they use those every day. I use them for keeping things organized. So it's a really, really big honor to win this contest. At least we think so, right?
Mm-hmm.
What do you think?
Yeah.
Yeah. Are you excited to be here?
Mm-hmm.
What did you think about the radio station? We gave you a little tour. Is it what you thought it was, or?
I thought it's a lot smaller than I thought it was gonna be.
Yeah. Yeah, there's not a whole lot to a radio station other than some computers and then this studio right here that we're in with these cameras, new this year. So it's a lot of fun. All right. Any thoughts you might have? Anything you want to share?
No, not really.
Not really? Okay. You ready to get out of that chair?
Sure.
All right, let's bring in your teacher if we could right now for a moment. So we'll bring her in. Yeah, you can get up from that chair. I'll have her sit in that chair. Oh, yes. How are you? Yeah, you need to put that up so we can hear you. Get a little closer.
I'm fine. Is this good?
Yeah, that's perfect.
Wonderful.
So you are?
I am Jackie Holman. I am the 8th grade teacher. Sorry, not the 4th grade teacher, but that's all right. I just thought I'd clarify and things.
Yeah.
So, but I see Hudson every morning when we gather together in the gym for our school prayer.
Okay. So at St. Anthony's, I'm not real familiar. I should probably ask that question of your principal here, but do you try to inspire children to express topics of faith in their art?
Oh, absolutely. One of the gifts of being at St. Anthony is every grade level teacher gets to teach art, and part of having the opportunity that Holy Family Radio provides for us to do and to express their faith through your the folder contest every year. And I've done in my classroom, I've done Easter pastels actually just recently this past week. People could do a resurrection scene or the 3 crosses on Good Friday. and other art expressions. My 8th graders they're not fond of this, but one of my objectives is for them to get some familiarity with Catholic art. So I'll show them 10 different popular Catholic art images, like the Divine Mercy image from St. Faustina Kowalska and various other images, and then I give them a quiz. That's about my only art quiz I do every year, but it gives them some exposure because there's plenty of Catholic ideas and images in art.
Right. Yeah. Art history is an important topic because it expresses different themes and different stories and evokes lots of different emotions. And we talked earlier about how beauty is so important in our world today, how truth can be expressed through beauty, and that's really going to transform our world. And that's a unique thing that you can do at a Catholic school.
Yeah, it sure is. I wonder sometimes with the popularity of texting and emojis nowadays, maybe I need to have some kind of emoji contest for whatever Catholic idea is that we're discussing. But just for some a little bit of relevance, but also a lot, like you said, a lot of beauty draws us all in.
Right. Do you have to sometimes guide the kids into trying to understand or think about how am I going to try and express a different subject through art?
It depends. Sometimes they'll run with their own ideas, and a lot of times they love the handiness of Google search images. And so sometimes they'll find their own idea they'll find an idea on the web, but then tweak it a little bit to make it more of their own, and so that they get their own drawing and creativity experiences out of that idea.
Right, absolutely. Well, we're talking to our art contest winners from Columbus Grove St. Anthony's, and the number to call to pledge your support for Catholic Radio is 888-287-0655. That's 888-287-0655. 888-287-0655. You can also go online to our website at holyfamilyradio.fm, holyfamilyradio.fm. So right now I'd like to switch out and bring in our other contest winner and have her come over here to the hot seat, as we'll call it. All right, and switch over here, and I'll hand you this. So this is you are our runner-up in the 7th and 8th grade division, correct?
Yep.
And your name is?
Lindsay Schrader.
Lindsay Schrader. And we're going to have to move your microphone a little bit, so because it's blocking. There we go. That's good.
Okay.
We want to see we want to see your smiling face. So you are our runner-up, and why don't you hold up your artwork to the camera so everybody can see it who's watching?
This one?
Yes. Well, this is yours, right?
No,
Well,
I don't think so.
No. Well, let me go find it. Oh, it's in that folder right there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, open that up. See, it should be in there. I can't believe I made that mistake. But I make lots of mistakes.
Here it is.
There it is.
Yep.
There you go. Hold that one up. There you go. Very good. So what's that say on the front? Because I don't know if we can see that.
Okay. On the front, on the top, it says, "Everyone in the Catholic Church is my family." And then at the bottom, I have a quote from Mother Teresa. And it says, "If you want to change the world, go home and love your family."
Amen. Yeah, that's great. So was Saint Teresa of Calcutta the inspiration for that?
I kind of started with the idea that in religion class we talk a lot about how Catholic means universal. So everyone in the Catholic Church is our family. So I went on my Chromebook and was searching for some quotes about family, and I saw the one from Mother Teresa.
Yeah. Well, that's fantastic. It's a nice approach to that. And do you really enjoy doing art?
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that something you like to do a lot?
Yep. I do sketches quite a bit.
Do you? Do you have multiple sketchbooks?
No, I usually just use whatever paper I have when I get bored.
Yeah, I've got a daughter who just loves to sketch and draw, and she has filled up multiple sketchbooks over time. So I usually like to ask, because a lot of times that's how you kind of save some ideas and kind of see your work as you progress, right? So this is not new for you then to be able to do this, right? Okay. Did the fact that this was a competition inspire you in some way to kind of do something different or better?
A little bit, but I kind of just wanted to use my own idea and see where it got.
Yeah. So is this a surprise?
Yeah, a little bit.
A little bit. Well, I tell you what, we get a stack of drawings this thick, and so we take these and we spread them out across multiple tables, and we go through it. We do it pretty quick, but certain things catch our eye, and
Yeah.
and some of the quotes and the words are inspirational. So I don't have any say in it. The board does all of it, but hey, you rose to the top, came in
Yeah.
second, so that works out pretty well. So do you want to take art as you get older?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that I scheduled an art class next year for high school,
Okay.
so I'm excited for that.
Okay.
I think it's a lot of fun.
Yeah. Do you like to just draw, or do you like to do other things?
I usually draw. I try to paint a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Oils, watercolor.
Usually it's acrylics because that's what we have.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Well, good. It's great that you could join us. Do you share your love of art with others? Do other friends of yours do lots of art?
Yeah, last year's winner, Dakota Dunn, I'm really good friends with her, and
Okay.
sometimes I know we've done this thing where we each start drawing something and then we switch every couple minutes, and
Mhm.
it's a lot of fun.
Ah, very nice. So, do you? Oh, I had a question. I went out of my mind. So I am out of my mind actually after about 11 hours of radio doing this live. So I'm not ashamed to say that. 888-287-0655. That's 888-287-0655. We need the phone to ring. We want to finish strong here in the last half hour of the Spring Spirit Drive here today on Holy Family Radio. The art contest is one of those things that we started 5 years ago, I believe, as a way to kind of engage the community and engage the local Catholic schools to be able to kind of showcase some of the work that it comes from that. And art is a great way to be able to do that, to be able to let the kids express themselves and to show their creativity and their skill, to be able to, kind of communicate their love for Jesus and their Catholic faith. And what do you like most about attending a Catholic school?
I think, at least at St. Anthony's, the classes are pretty small, so you know everyone, and the teachers can trust you because they know you pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess everyone just sort of has the same values, so it's pretty easy to talk about stuff with
Right.
anyone.
Right. Well, that's good. What's your favorite subject?
Probably art class or band class.
Art or band? So you're a pretty creative young person, aren't you?
Yep.
Very good. Unlike Hudson, who was just in here, said he loves math, but I love math, but I think I'm kind of creative a little bit here and there. So, well, thank you for coming in today
Yeah,
and sharing, your artwork with us, and wish you luck in the future.
thank you.
All right. So, next, I want to welcome in the principal, if she would like to come in here and talk about St. Anthony's, because this really is intended as a showcase for the Catholic schools, or the Catholic schools in our local area. And so now I am joined in the studio here with the principal, right?
Yes.
Nancy Dukes, right?
Yes.
Well, welcome.
Welcome. Thank you.
So what-
Hi, Jeff. Thanks for having me.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So what can you tell us about St. Anthony's?
St. Anthony's, Miss Homan, who was just on here a little bit ago, she and I, she came to St. Anthony's about a year before I did, and we both have kind of, not really joked, but we've mentioned it's like a little slice of heaven. Just, we've worked at different places throughout
Yeah.
our careers, and the families are so supportive. The students are very respectful and wonderful and have great manners. And I know the first week I was there, I was just so impressed by their manners and the thank yous and the pleases. And when I attended the first all-school mass, I actually cried because the singing was just so beautiful. They were all participating, and it just made my heart so happy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that the singleness of purpose. Father Scott Kramer talked earlier today about communion, this common union that we have, and be able to come together and worship and to have that intentional walk with Christ is empowering. It's inspiring, and Catholic schools really help to form our young people into disciples.
Yep,
Yeah.
I agree.
So, what's the enrollment there at St. Anthony? Give us an idea of the size and kind of some of the unique sort of things you might offer there.
We have, I think, from preschool through 8th grade, approximately 115 students.
Okay.
We started our preschool, I think this is our 4th year.
Okay.
And it's been filled up almost every year. We're filled for next year. So we've got a lot of new families joining us in kindergarten next year, which is great. It's a family-like atmosphere.
Yeah.
It's very supportive. If anyone is suffering for whatever reason, illness or death in the family, we come together to support them.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a great place to be.
Yeah. How about sports? You have sports there?
Our students can go over and play any of the sports offered at CG Local.
Okay.
So they do that. In fact, I think Lindsay, who was just on here, had come from track practice, I believe.
Okay.
So, yes, the kids stay busy.
Well, good. I'm glad that she could get over here
Yes.
in time for this. That's why I kind of leave the last 2 hours open, because I know
that's a
that
great idea.
coming from after school, we've got extracurriculars that are going on, and really just enjoy being able to have them there and be able to talk about Catholic schools and the distinct difference that there is. I think today public education can be a little bit dicey. The state of Ohio and other places let's put it this way, you can how do I say this? Lots of different ideologies and other things can be mandated and pushed through, and Catholic schools can kind of insulate them from that, correct?
Correct.
So,
Yes.
so you can be rest assured, I guess, in many ways that that's not going to become part of the curriculum, and it's going to remain authentically Catholic, correct?
Right. Yes. So, for instance, some of our periodicals we use as a supplemental resource in the classroom have kind of tended to go liberal here in the last couple of years, and we've had teachers say, well, we're just not interested in teaching that because that goes against what we're trying to instill in our students, and that the last part of our mission statement is that we want to instill our students to live the gospel values in their daily lives. And so if we find things that aren't following that, then we go to another resource. There are several companies that are making like social studies textbooks. My 7th grade or my junior high social studies teacher is now perusing a copy. It's from made by a Catholic company, but it follows the Ohio Learning Standards for Social Studies, but with a Catholic base.
Okay.
So we're looking at things like that. And today I just got something about science too, similar idea.
Well, that's fantastic. Yeah, that's the sort of things that I think as parents would hope would be happening, and that's really some of the advantage of being at a Catholic school. So, if there are any parents out there who might be interested in enrolling a student at St. Anthony's, how would they go about doing that? Are you accepting new students in any grade or level?
We certainly are. We certainly are. They could either go on our website. There's a spot on there where they can send a message, and I'll get that, or they can call the office. Our number is 419-659-2103. Our wonderful administrative assistant, Mrs. Lori Gieske, is there every day to answer those questions, and I would be happy to take any prospective student or family that's interested in Catholic education on a tour of our school. They're also welcome to shadow us in a classroom for a day to kind of get the feel. Maybe if they're just not sure and want to see what it's all about, we offer that as well.
Okay. And about tuition? Do you offer assistance for tuition?
Yes, we do. We
Okay.
do. Our parishioners get a substantial discount over what it costs to educate a student. I studied this and did some research over the winter, and it costs about $6,500 to educate a student, one student per year. Our tuition for next year, very affordable for our St. Anthony families, is at $1,900 because we do know that they give financial support to the parish, which is what supports us. So we also offer the Ed Choice scholarship, the expansion, which is income-based for anybody who meets the requirements of that. We have a couple students on those, and we also have a couple students that apply for the Northwest Ohio Scholarship Fund, which is an income-based one as well.
Yeah, we've had them on before and talked about that and tried to promote that because that's a really great program.
Yes, it's great, and they are renewable for each year.
That's right.
So it's a wonderful opportunity, and I'd be happy to help. I know it's sometimes intimidating for parents, especially when it's online, to go through and answer the questions and submit an application online. So I've walked parents through that in my office to get that application process going. So they can reap the benefits of attending, and even if they don't have the means to support the whole full amount of the tuition, then they get some assistance that way.
Right. Yeah, I think it's always important to let folks know that there is help available, and there's absolutely no shame in asking for that.
Exactly.
Especially when it comes to our kids. We want to give them the best, and there's ways to make that happen, and don't be ashamed or think otherwise about that.
We do have one other source too, Jeff.
Okay.
We have I think it was started within the last 10 years, but the Guardian Angel Tuition Assistance Fund, that's through the parish. But anyone there's an application for that on our website too. They can click that link and the application's there and apply if they need some help in paying for their schooling.
Well, very good.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you for coming. Like I said, I like to leave this opportunity for administrators to come in and talk about their school and to promote that, and because there's lots of good work to be done when we're educating our children.
You bet.
So thank you again.
You're
for coming.
welcome. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. So once again, that's Nancy Dukes, principal at Columbus Grove St. Anthony, and kind of wrapping things up for the day. Got about 15 minutes left to ask you to give us your best gift. Time to make that phone ring, folks. It's 888-287-0655. 888-287-0655. That's 888-287-0655. It was so great to have young people here in studio, giving them the opportunity to kind of sit in the chair and to be able to talk into a microphone and kind of experience something new, kind of putting themselves out there just a little bit, and just being able to encourage that and to kind of recognize them for their work and to recognize their teachers and recognize their administrators that are involved with Catholic education. I think it's an incredibly important job, and it's become even more incredibly important when it comes to some of the ideologies that are being forced upon schools and even independently by teachers in classrooms in situations that it's inappropriate for. I'd like to talk more about that tomorrow and Friday if I could. And really, if there's one reason I can give you to support Catholic Radio, it's the fact that we are a voice in the darkness that can help to educate and enlighten and inspire people to not fall for these ideologies. We're talking about gender nonconformity, LGBTQ. We're talking about critical race theory. All of these things that have no place in our culture today. Things that are real threats to our children, real threats to our families, real threats to the parent-child relationship. And really, Catholic Radio is one of those outlets that's going to give you the truth. It's always going to give you the fullness of the truth for sure, but also the trueness of those teachings that really strengthen families and we need to fight as hard as we can against some of these things happening. We need to be able to not be like Adam, men. We should not stand by and allow things to happen around us, because look what happened. We need to be strong. We need to be warriors. We need to be protectors of our families. And so that's very, very important. And Catholic radio, I think, I'm using it as a medium and a vehicle to be able to combat that. Okay, that's what Catholic radio is for. It's not just to educate us, but it's primarily to educate us, but it's also to help us to advocate and protect and defend our faith and ourselves and our families. So 888-287-0655, 888-287-0655. I'm going to take one final break for a little bit of music and some messages from our underwriters. I haven't mentioned our underwriters at all yet, but I will do that when I come back from this break to wrap things up for this first day of the Spring Spirit Drive. 888-287-0655, 888-287-0655. This is Deacon Jeff Compton from the Holy Family Radio Studios in 2002 Spirit Drive. I'll be back after this message. And we are back here live in the studio. Deacon Jeff Compton with you, closing out our first full day of our Spring Spirit Drive, the one time a year where we interrupt your regular programming to be able to bring you and to ask you for your support, to help support this radio station, to keep it going and growing. As you know, we are growing with a radio station that we're going to build in Fostoria, and hopefully any day now we'll find out if we can build one. The FCC will approve us to build one over in Van Wert to greatly expand our coverage area and to be able to continue to reach more and more people. So 888-287-0655. Our volunteers will be here for a little while after I switch over to our regular programming to be able to take your donations. You can always do it online anytime over the night, and we'll make sure we get that into our totals for the day by going to our website, holyfamilyradio.fm, holyfamilyradio.fm. It is, it's one of those things that, we just enjoy being able to provide, this radio station and all the programming to everybody. And it's going to be a great day tomorrow as we have a great lineup of guests. We're going to talk to some Catholic homeschoolers. That's going to be more and more important as people start to begin to not trust public education and some of the things that they're trying to push onto children even younger and younger. So there are alternatives for people out there. So we're going to talk to some folks who have some experience with that. We'll talk to Father Nathan Cromley at the noon hour to talk about lots of his sort of things. Got Jeremy Kuhlman coming in. He'll have a guest with him to talk about the Knights of Columbus and their insurance and their other financial products, as well as more art contest winners and their principals, especially from Delphos St. John and Saints Peter and Paul in Ottawa. So I need to wrap things up here as we're coming up to about a minute and a half before the top of the hour at 6 o'clock. It's going to be Catholic Answers Live who will follow me. But I really want to let you know that we're going to air an interview early in the morning, probably around 7:30 or so, an interview I did and taped with Kevin Deitering about his path back to the Catholic Church. It's one of the main reasons why we do what we do, which is to help people not only enrich and deepen and inspire them in their faith, those who are already walking the faith, but help those who need to be called back, to give them a path back, a way to learn and to understand and to grow back into the faith, and really to call those folks who are outside, to tell them to come in and to come home to the Catholic Church. It is where really we all belong, because it is the ship, the bark that will get us to our ultimate destination, and that's with our Father in heaven. So on behalf of the volunteers here and Kim, who is at home, and hopefully she'll be here tomorrow to join me live here in the studio for tomorrow's second day of the Spring Spirit Drive, this is Holy Family Radio, where we preach the truth with clarity and charity. Signing off for tonight, this is Deacon Jeff Compton, and God bless.